Welcome to another video from SQL Maestros. Today it's a quick demo. We are going to talk a bit about troubleshooting high CPU usage in SQL Server. Now, whenever you see high CPU usage in your SQL Server environment, I see a lot of SQL Server folks straight away jumping inside SQL Server and trying to figure out which workloads or which queries are causing high CPU usage. We open up our diagnostic scripts or those DMV queries and start scrambling and try to figure out what's going on inside SQL Server. Now, all that is good and should come a bit later. The first step really here is to find out if the SQL Server process is the one which is consuming high CPU usage. Now, remember, your box has the SQL Server process. It has a lot of other utilities, maybe antivirus, and you never know, maybe even the web server and whatnot is running on that box. Maybe multiple instances of SQL Server is running on that box, and you got to figure out which instance is consuming high CPU usage. So really the first step is to find out if your SQL Server process or any other process or any other SQL Server instance is the culprit here. Then once you identify that, everything else comes later. So this is going to be a very quick demo where I'm going to show you how you can very adequately figure that out. Now, the task manager is open in front of you. You can see that on the screen, and look at the CPU utilization, the overall utilization. It is very quiescent right now. There are no workloads running, and this is the overall CPU utilization. Now, on this VM where I'm running the demo, we have 8 cores, 8 virtual processors. So let's go and just change the graph to logical processes. I'm purposely doing that because I want to show you some mathematics about that. So you can see that there are 8 in numbers, so 8 virtual processors. Now, task manager is something that you might not have access to because you of course need admin privileges. The other thing is to figure this out from perfmon counters, and maybe you have access to performance monitor, or you might have configured perfmon counters using some application or monitoring tools. So I am going to show you slightly more appropriate way of figuring this out. Now, what can you do is, let's go and start perfmon. Let's launch performance monitor, and there are just so many counters out there. We'll just stick to the one that we need to troubleshoot CPU usage. Let's go to performance monitor here. Processor time is there. Let's just remove all of this and change the visuals to report. It's just a bit comfortable for me here. Let's go and figure out. Let's let it load all the objects. Okay, still loading, still loading. There you go. And now let's scroll up. So you can see that there are 2 objects here, process and processor. I'm going to expand process, and in process I'm going to take privilege time. Okay, am I able to select that? Okay, yes, privilege time, processor time, and user time. And these 3, and I'm just going to explain you in a while, these 3 counters, I will take it for the SQL Server process. So where is the SQL Server process? Instances of selected objects. So just let's type SQ, and there, scroll down, you will see the SQL Server process here. So now let me just zoom in and show you the exact counter and the process. So I am taking privilege time, which is percentage privilege time, percentage processor time, and percentage user time. And we do this for the SQL Server exe. This is the process. Let's go and add this and click on OK. So I showed you earlier, this is all very quiescent right now. No workloads are running. So you can see privilege time 0, you can see processor time 0, and you can see user time 0. Now, first things first, we need to understand what these counters are. If SQL Server process is really consuming high CPU usage, you will see a very high utilization in percentage user time. Now, percentage user time is out of 100, of course, because these are all percentages. This is out of 100%, but 100% multiplied by the number of processors that you have on the box. So in our case, and that is why I showed that in the task manager, that we have 8 virtual processors. So this is going to be 100 multiplied by 8. So the max is 800%. So you're going to see this number here once CPU consumption goes high, this is going to be the utilization on each processor multiplied by 8. So I mean, a simple mathematics here could be that let's say you have 90% utilization on each processor. So this is going to be 9 into 8, which is like 720. Okay, that's the calculation. Now this is user time. Now what is privilege time? If SQL Server process is not the one that is consuming high CPU usage, and it could be other processes on the box like antivirus or some other utilities or a web server or something else, then you will see privilege time going up, not the user time. So this is going to be conclusive and is going to be detrimental. You're going to determine whether SQL Server process is consuming high CPU usage or is it something else. The percentage processor time is just accumulation of privilege plus user time, just a sum of these two. So you can keep your focus on user time and privilege time. Processor time is just going to be the overall CPU utilization. I mean, privilege time and user time solves the purpose, but we always take processor time also. Okay, friends, so this is all good here and very quiescent. Now let's run some workload. Let's run some CPU intensive workload and you will see these numbers going up. Okay, let's go to Explorer here. I have a few scripts here, scheduler pressure. Let's run this batch file, which is going to create 100 users and run a few things, and it's going to cause high CPU usage. So first things first, note in the task manager on each box, see the CPU usage is almost touching 100% at all times, right? And this is high CPU usage going on for each box that you see, for each processor. Let's jump to the counters. Now look at the counters and first observe percentage user time. Look at the number, 657, 663, right? That's the number. So this is percentage utilization on each processor multiplied by 8. And then if you look at the privilege time, this is really low, right? If you see 29, 34%, etc., that is out of 800%, which clearly means that SQL Server process is the one that is consuming high CPU usage. Let's zoom this a bit. Okay, very, very negligible, which means there are no other processes on the box really consuming high CPU usage. This is SQL Server, which is evident from here. And if you add 693 to 18 or approximately that, which gives you the overall CPU utilization. And now these intensive workloads are running. If you were with me here, you will see the CPU fans really running very high, burning, making a lot of noise. Let's change the graph to overall utilization and you will see CPU peaking at 100%. This is conclusive. You can also jump over to the processes tab here and look at SQL Server Windows NT 64-bit. Look at the utilization out there. So this is also conclusive. But yeah, you might not have access to the task manager. It's always good to depend on perfmon counters, more appropriate, more realistic, more accurate, so to say. All right, let's close this and let's do something. Let's just terminate. Yes, let's terminate the workload. And the moment you do that, everything goes back to 0, right? The storm is over and the utilizations are gone. CPU is very quiescent now or normal. Okay, and of course, beyond this, once you see high CPU usage, then you got to troubleshoot which workloads are currently running, or you may want to find out more historical data from exec stats, DMV, etc. A lot of things to do there and find out workloads as to why they are CPU intensive, non-sargability, it could be implicit conversions, it could be missing indexes that are making queries do large scans. There's just so many reasons why your queries are burning CPU. All right, so this was something very basic, very elementary, and I sometimes see that in the performance troubleshooting methodology, some of these basic steps are missing, and that is why I thought it's important to call this out and just record a quick video, a quick demonstration on this one. Hope you enjoyed the video. Happy SQL. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell icon so that you're notified on new videos. Most importantly, visit SQLmaestros.com. There's a lot of SQL learning resources out there, video courses, master classes, lab kits, ebooks, blogs, hands-on labs, and a lot more. Follow us on Twitter @SQLmaestros and myself @A_Bansal. Last but not the least, do subscribe to our newsletters. See you soon in another video. Goodbye.